Hey there, we're back with part 3 of the paper armor build. Today, we're making bracers and seeing if they can actually take a hit. We're going to use some basic household materials: paper, white glue, hot glue, elastic, and some scissors to make this project. The goal is to use two pieces of armor, one on the top and one on the bottom of my arm that will be held together with two pieces of elastic. We start with making an outline of the arm, and then over that we draw the shape of the armor, which will be used later. Taking our tabloid paper, we begin folding it in half to get ready to glue. Now, it's always important, make sure you have a glue bottle that works. Once the glue is spread, use whatever tool you have in your arsenal, in this case our fingers, to create a nice thin layer of glue across the entire sheet of paper. We're going to use the side of our glue bottle to evenly compress the two halves together. Once that's done, we're going to repeat the process until we have a piece 4 layers thick. Great, the first piece is done. That wasn't so hard. Let's make another. Once we have our two pieces, we're going to glue them together to make a single piece 8 layers thick. Now that that's done, we get to do it all over again and make another identical piece, 8 layers thick. Remember that pattern from before? We're now going to trace it out over our pieces and cut it out. This part required a bit of experimentation, as I wasn't quite sure how I wanted the elastic to lay out on this. Once I was confident on where I wanted the pieces to be, I used white glue to glue it down onto the paper. This proved to be a little difficult as it constantly wanted to slide around on the paper and not stay in its correct position. Once I was satisfied with where those were, I covered the whole thing in glue and glued the top piece down. Once the pieces are firmly together, we will place it over the arm and try to start bending it into the shape we want it to be. This part can get a little tedious, as you only have a limited time before the glue dries while it's still wet and pliable. Now we're going to repeat the process again and start making the lower half for the arm. Because this piece is smaller, we can actually get an extra fold out of this and use 2 less sheets of paper overall for the bottom piece. Once again, I'm tracing my arm out to get the right shape. This is the tricky part. Now that we have both pieces, we have to line it up on my arm and with the elastic pieces on the top half to get everything to line up and figure out how we're going to glue it. We're not taking any chances this time, and we're using hot glue to get a quick, firm hold. Our first time trying it on, we need to mold the bottom piece into the right shape while it is still wet. The edges are going to want to separate, so make sure they are pressed together well. And when in doubt, binder clips. So, let's review what we made here. This part here, we made in our last video. It's the hand armor. So this part here is completed. So we got the elastic, which is kind of holding it to my arm. And overall, it seems pretty sturdy. I'm gonna pull it off here, because that's how it comes on and off. Quick review, I think I should have made the elastic a little bit shorter on one side, because while it holds my arm, it doesn't hold as well as I would hope. Now, it also doesn't really turn well when my arm turns. So I almost need some sort of multiple piece system that will turn with my arm. Maybe that's a project for a future one. But let's test its durability. All right, it looks pretty sturdy, but can it withstand a lightsaber? Hey, not a scratch. All right, all jokes aside, let's see how strong it really is. Now, in the last clip, you saw me attack it with this, a papercraft sword I made about 10 years ago. Now, it may only be made of paper and popsicle sticks, but it can pack a pretty good punch. Now, we're going to attack it with a few other things and see how well it stands up. First, we'll start with a rubber mallet. Let's see what that does. It seems to bounce back pretty well. Next, move on to another, more heavier hammer. Let's see what happens. Seems to bounce back pretty well from that too. Next, let's try stabbing it and see what happens. So that actually left a mark. And it seems to have actually poked through just a hair. But if it was able to stop that knife pretty well, and yes, I didn't go from a very high distance, but I was definitely putting force on it, and if that stopped it pretty well, I'd call that a mild success. Overall, in terms of armor, I'd rank this a solid B. There's definitely improvements we can make on it, but you know, it's a good start, and it's definitely durable. If you like this project, go ahead and like and share this video. If you want to see more projects we have coming up, go ahead and subscribe as well, because there's going to be more paper armor in store, and we have a bunch of other projects heading your way. Thank you.